I now invite our guest of honor and special invitee, Dr. Ajay Kumar, to the podium. Dr. Ajay Kumar is a Joint Secretary in the Department of Information Technology, Ministry of Telecom and IT, Government of India. Prior to this, he served for almost 3 decades in the state government of Kerala, where he steered the industrial and technological initiatives of 3 departments. Dr. Kumar has most recently been Secretary Information Technology, Kerala government. Dr. Kumar is credited with guiding the restructuring of several state public undertakings under Asian Development Bank programs, providing leadership to Keltron during a critical period and putting Kerala firmly on the path to e-governance, citizen empowerment and full internet connectivity. Dr. Kumar is an IIT Kanpur alumnus. He did his MS in Applied Economics and PhD in Business Administration at the University of Minnesota, US. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Ajay Kumar.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Dr. Sheshagiri, Right Honorable Patricia Hewitt, Shri Bobby Mitra, Ms. Purnima Shinai, Dr. Pradeep Datta, dignitaries, friends. I feel really privileged to be invited at the inauguration ceremony of India's Semiconductor Association's Vision Summit 2011. I wish to congratulate ISA for organizing the Vision Summit, being attended by a large number of business and technology thought leaders from India and overseas. I take this opportunity to offer special welcome for our guests from Japan and hope to see them more often in India. The Vision Summit 2011 focuses on a very important and relevant theme of electronic systems innovation, India's opportunity to drive the global markets. India is fairly well known as a global powerhouse in software and software services sector. However, it lags behind in electronic system design and manufacturing capabilities. By the same consideration, the demand for electronics goods is growing exponentially as a country takes strides in modernization. Sectors like telecom, information technology, power, automobile, consumer electronics, among others, are driving this growth. According to the assessment of the task force constituted by the Department of Information Technology in 2009, the demand for electronics hardware in India is projected to grow from $45 billion in 2009 to $400 billion by 2020. The global demand is expected to be a mind-boggling to $2,400 billion by this time. At the current rate of growth, the domestic production can cater to a demand of $104 billion by 2020, and the remaining would have to be met by imports. Mind you, the average value addition in domestic production of electronic hardware is also very low. This provides a huge economic opportunity for India as a country. Besides developing domestic production capabilities in electronics, is also of strategic interest to the country. Increasing self-reliance by creating our own Indian electronic products for Indian markets will become the key focus for India in the coming decade. The Indian design is proficient in design and applications development. Capabilities in these core areas can catapult the industry towards greater innovation and development of products for the local, regional and global markets. Electronic system design and manufacturing with stress on energy efficiency and inclusive growth can propel the country towards global leadership. I compliment the ISA on structuring the sessions appropriately. The need is to learn from the best practices established elsewhere and build on our own strengths. Like we exhibited our own niche in the software and business process outsourcing, time has come to demonstrate a leadership position by building our own capabilities in IC design, IC fabrication, and design and manufacturing of electronic products. Bangalore has emerged as a Silicon Valley of India. Over $2 billion US dollar worth chip designs are being exported from India, developed by nearly 20,000 highly trained and qualified, talented Indian professionals. Most of the semiconductor fabrication companies have set up their R&D and design centers in India. India, therefore, is at the cutting edge of technology, and this offers a great opportunity for the country to now focus on manufacturing. The Department of Information Technology is in the process of formulating several major initiatives to help India move towards becoming a major global producer of electronic products to meet the domestic demand as well as the export demand. A roadmap has been developed and is under consideration of the government. Since the components of this roadmap are under the active consideration of government, it may not be possible for me to elaborate on those. However, let me share the general thinking that exists in this regard. A special incentive package was announced by the government in 2007 to attract investment in fab facility and ecosystem units. The main thrust of that scheme was to address the disability costs, which manufacturing costs in India face due to higher costs of logistics, energy and transactions. The scheme was open for 3 years, that is till March 2010. As a part of the scheme, the government had proposed to provide support to the tune of 20% of investment for units within SEZ and 25% of units outside SEZ. The threshold investments were rupees 2,500 crores for the fab units and rupees 1,000 crores for the ecosystem units. The response to the scheme was lukewarm. The experience of this scheme has provided valuable learnings. The most important being that rather than identifying some large projects, the electronic manufacturing capabilities can be sustained if the production capacities are developed all along the value chain of electronic products. The investments required for setting up units manufacturing different components of the value chain in electronic manufacturing are different. Manufacturing of chips in fabs may require a higher investment. However, discrete components may not require as high an investment for production. By setting up of a single threshold of rupees 1,000 crores for ecosystem units, the CIPS scheme prevented the units manufacturing chip components or discrete components and other electromechanical parts and accessories to take advantage of this scheme. Another important learning from CIPS was that the procedure prescribed was that the scheme was open for 3 years, which implied that the unit supplying had to wait for 3 years before knowing whether they would be eligible for government support. This needed to be changed. It was also felt to address some of the infrastructures and logistics issues. It would be better if the production is based on clusters and parks, something which has been so successful for software industry. This would also reduce the gestation period for units as well as the transaction costs. The earlier CIPS, due to its large threshold, had practically excluded all SMEs which play an important role in the overall manufacturing sector, including in electronic manufacturing. A number of units which are in discrete components are actually SMEs. For a successful effort, the scheme needed to be inclusive of SMEs. Accordingly, based on the recommendations of the task force and various discussions which were held with industry stakeholders, including ISA, a peer review committee under the chairmanship of Shri Ajay Chaudhary was constituted in January 2011, and it has recently given its recommendations regarding a modified special incentive package scheme which is under the consideration of the government. Modified CIPS, while maintaining attractive financial support, tries to address the deficiencies of the earlier scheme. It tries to meet the needs of all types of units in the electronic value chain. We are striving to get necessary government approvals of the scheme at the earliest. In a knowledge-intensive sector like the electronics, sustainable leadership position cannot be achieved without the support of a healthy, vigorous and dynamic R&D and innovation ecosystem. Innovation cycle is becoming smaller. The products change in the industry every 6 months. We need to move ahead from the screwdriver technology. At the same time, we need to avoid expensive and complex solutions which make commercialization of products difficult. With software as a strength, it is possible to create market differentiation in electronic hardware products, as most hardware as a form have a large component of embedded and application software built with them. One of the recommendations of the task force is to set up an electronic development fund to promote innovation, R&D, intellectual property, and manufacturing in the electronic sector. We are in process of conceptualizing the same. It is well recognized that a vibrant research and innovation in the sector cannot be achieved without the active participation of the private sector, both in the industry and the academic institutions. Moreover, since electronics is used by all sectors of the economy and all departments and ministries of the government, the effort should really involve the whole of government and not merely one or two departments. For example, in the health sector, the ministry would be interested in reaching health services for which manufacturing appropriate, inexpensive medical equipment is the need of the day. Similar requirements can be thought of for other sectors like telecom, consumer, automotive, education, energy, etc. The research and innovation should also should be across the electronic value chain and should comprise and should encompass chips and chips component, discrete components, electromechanical components, accessories, etc. We need to be doing product specific R&D at the cutting edge of whichever product which we select. This would require leapfrogging in our research capabilities. I would like to urge upon the scientists, technologists, academia, industry, and the government functionaries to guide this effort. To bring in the right research and innovation culture, we may have to look for out-of-the-box solutions. For example, China has a China 1000 program through which the top 1000 researchers of Chinese origin are being brought back to the country. Government would need to step in with suitable incentives to support such research effort, and it does propose to do so. There is need for grant for basic research and angel and venture capital funding support for subsequent prototyping and commercialization efforts. New degree courses need to be developed and popularized so that adequate human resources available for the hardware manufacturing industry as the large-scale electronic manufacturing effort kicks in. An important factor that is relevant here is that the manufacturing sector in India suffers from a confidence deficit. A major change in the electronic manufacturing sector would not succeed without a suitable communication and brand building effort. A part of the success in the software sector is also related to the brand which India has been able to build regarding its software and software service capabilities. Such a brand development is mutually reinforcing for investing industry as also for the supportive government. It helps attract talented youth to choose electronic manufacturing as a career. We already have the advantage of a great brand for knowledge work. We need to further leverage this brand to include our capabilities in electronic manufacturing. Finally, I would like to stress the urgency in this effort. The opportunity which exists today will not continue forever. Issues like technology lockup will further increase entry barriers for domestic production. We need to start immediately and make this decade as a decade for electronic manufacturing in India. To sum up, I would like to state that the government recognizes the opportunity of converting India into a global destination for electronic hardware manufacturing, not merely for selected high investment projects, but along the whole value chain. The government is in the process of developing various policy initiatives which would help realize this goal in close partnership with the industry, academia, and other stakeholders. The attempt is that policies in this regard would address the disability costs and vis-a-vis other competing destinations like China and Korea. I would also like to thank ISA for being an active partner in associating with the government in the discussion process in formulating new policies. I would like to urge the industry to be prepared to seize the opportunity and take the fullest advantage of the policies proposed in this regard. Let me conclude with a poem by Robert Frost. I shall be telling this with a sigh. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was an interesting and useful perspective.